please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Boe?
Here.
Mrs. Boyle?
Here.
Mr. Paramella?
Here.
Mrs. Miller?
Here.
Mr. Panisi? Mr. Sesselberg?
Here.
Mrs. Wolak?
Here.
Mr. Cassio?
Here.
Mr. Chapman?
Here. In accordance with the terms of the Sunshine Law, adequate notice of this meeting was posted in all school buildings, the administration building, borough clerk's office, police headquarters, public library, 4 newspapers, and WCTC on January 9th of 2020. Please be advised, there's no smoking on school grounds, inside or out at any time. Please silence all electronic devices, and pursuant to District Policy 0167, each statement made by a participant shall be limited to 3 minutes duration, and no participant may speak more than once on the same topic. Can we get the superintendent's report, please, Dr. Leachak?
In light of the ever-changing status that we're in with the corona virus, I'm going to go over a few things that we have set up in our district in regards to what we're doing and what we're planning on doing moving forward. So you may know at this point the state of New Jersey is in a state of emergency. Governor Murphy has declared a state of emergency in regard to the COVID-19 coronavirus. The executive order allows the state of New Jersey to take action in case of an emergency and urgent need for proposals in dealing with the situation as they arise regarding the spread and the confirmed cases of the coronavirus. As of today, the state, county, and local level Office of Emergency Management has not placed any restrictions on our school district. Declaring the state of emergency is a required step in order to receive financial assistance from the federal government, which is why the governor would have done so. Communication is important so that we are able to supply the information to our parents, guardians, and students, as well as faculty and staff of what we're doing. This afternoon we had 2 faculty meetings to discuss the plan with all of our faculty and staff. The district has taken a number of steps to keep the community informed of any information we've received thus far. All updates are listed on the district website, and a number of email correspondence have been sent regarding the steps we are taking in preparation of a closure in the district. All of these letters are listed on the website as well as on our Facebook page. I've also reminded parents through a phone message that they will receive this evening to please continue to check the website and your email for updates. If you haven't updated your email and phone number in the Genesis system, I'm asking that you please do that, as that is the primary method of communication between the district, parents, and guardians. As we plan for a school closure that may or may not happen, guidance for all school closures will be provided to the parents and in guidelines with the New Jersey Department of Education, and is listed on the district website for your review. In the event that we are directed to close the schools, the district will enact the pandemic influenza coronavirus plan, which has been updated and reviewed by district and borough officials. Online instruction will begin and count as part of our 180-day requirement. Students will be instructed through Google Classroom and Google Meet. Teachers will work on streaming videos and interactive communications. Students will follow their regular half-day schedule. However, instruction will not begin until 9 a.m. in order to meet the requirements as we begin to distribute breakfast and lunch. Faculty training and planning. Our faculty was trained on using Google Classroom, although most already use the program, along with Google Meet to ensure they were prepared in the event of a closing. This Friday, March 13th, we will enact a half-day schedule, and our teachers will work to prepare lesson plans and create projects for students in the event of a closure. Students will be required to log into the Google Classroom and Google Meet to see their assignments for the day and interact with their teachers. Assignments are designed by the teachers and the work will be collected and reviewed in a timely manner. Students will have the opportunity to correspond with teachers via Google Classroom. Videos and written instructions are listed online, and an email with the link will be sent home this evening to parents and guardians so that they can familiarize themselves with the process of logging onto the system. A phone center will be set up for parents, guardians, students, and faculty if they have questions regarding the online instruction or have issues with technology in making the programs work. We are required to provide instruction to all students, general education and special education, within the setting in the virtual classroom. Students who do not have access to the internet will receive a packet of work to complete in order to receive their instruction. Lessons will be structured and take into account any modifications that are required per student's IEP. Breakfast and lunch will be available for any student who would like to participate in the breakfast and lunch program. Any parent or guardian who would like their child to participate in the program will need to adhere to the following. They will need to call food service on the number that will be listed on our website and let Aramark know that they intend to have their child participate for 1 week in the breakfast and lunch program, and they must assure Aramark that they have funds in their account in order for their student to be provided. Bus riders, we will bring breakfast and lunch to combined bus stops in order for the students to receive their breakfast and lunch. Walkers will go to their home school and they will be provided breakfast and lunch if they so desire. This is how we intend to feed the students, but please be advised there will be no hot services. Faculty and students preparedness, district nurses met with students to discuss proper hand hygiene and answer any questions students had in regard to the coronavirus as an age-appropriate grade level. A video was created to inform students about the virus and is listed on the website so that parents and guardians may have the opportunity to view it as well. Faculty discussed the proper protocol for recognizing the signs of the flu and sending students to the nurse for further assessment. Our facilities, so that you are aware, we are continuing with the cleaning of the district each night. All surfaces are wiped down nightly with strong disinfectants. In addition, ionized cleaning guns are used to spray a mist of disinfectant on desks, walls, floors, etc. And the disinfectant is designed to kill any germs that adhere to the surfaces. Kiosks of cleaning supplies have been provided to the schools in order for teachers to utilize during the school day. Additional hand sanitizers have been installed in common areas throughout the school buildings. We have a number of resources that are listed on our website, South Lakeville Board of Education website. In addition, you'll find information from the Center for Disease Control and the New Jersey Department of Health. So we're asking that with all of this information, and it's changing at a rapid pace, that you please check onto the website for resources so that you can educate yourself on the coronavirus. Also, I want to remind parents and guardians, it is important that you please check your email often, because that is how we will be corresponding with you most often. And we are also have our videos up there and instructional information on how you can log on to the system and familiarize yourself with the online platform that we're going to use in the event that our schools are closed. So now that we have Corona out of the way for tonight, I just want to say thank you to the number of faculty members who came to the community meetings for Riley and the middle school yesterday and Monday, as well as the number of parents who came to provide some feedback on what they're looking for in terms of a principal for both of those buildings. So I appreciate that. We are in the process of putting a committee together for both of those buildings, and all of the input that I received from the faculty and the public over the last 2 days, I will put into the criteria and hand it over to the committee as we move forward. Okay, thank you.
I have a question.
Mrs. Boyle?
Is there a time limit that the students have to be present on the web or on their login? Is there, like, can they log in and take their information, or do they have to stay logged in for a certain amount of hours?
We're following a half-day schedule, so we have to be able to show that we are providing instruction or correspondence for the length of a day for a half-day schedule. So they, for example, if you had class in the high school, you may log on for, let's say, 15 minutes into Google Meet. Then you might go over to Google Classroom and just start doing some back and forth. There doesn't have to be any conversation. It could just be submitting, and then they'd be logged on again. We have to be able to know that you're in there for the length of time to cover a 4-hour day.
Okay, so they would have to be on for at least, if it's a 4-hour day, they'd have to be on for at least 4 hours,
We have to show that there's correspondence where they can watch a video, they can have interaction, they don't have to actually be going back and forth. They can then go back and upload something onto Google Classroom. The teachers have to be available
Yes.
during that time, but the kids can go back and forth on it as long as they're showing that they're watching it in the beginning or they're watching it at whatever time it's being shown, and that they're submitting their lesson or whatever the teachers are asking them to do.
Okay, and also for the breakfast and lunch program, free and reduced, they still have to call into Mart so they get counted in the total?
We need them to do that just so we have an idea of how many to prepare.
Okay.
So just for clarity, the students need to be logged in all day long. And we know when they're logged into the system, correct? So if they came back to us and said, was Ava Chapman logged in, you can plug in and you can see she was
Yes.
logged in for the entire time.
Yes.
Thanks.
I'm sorry, also, just so everybody's familiar, the teachers will be taking attendance as well. So the first time that they log in, they'll be taking attendance. It'll go into the Genesis system, so it'll count for how we account to the state for our attendance percentage. And they'll also be getting robocalls. So just the same as if they were here, if they're not logged in, the robocall will go home to the parents and say they're not, you're not in virtual school either. Okay?
All right. Thank you, Dr. Leshak. Do we have any agenda or deletions? No, seeing none, moving on to public comments on agenda items only. All right, moving along. Committee reports, start with B&G. Yesterday was the 10th. Okay. Buildings and Grounds met on March 10th. In attendance were myself, Mr. Cassio, Mr. Both, Mr. Sesselberg, Mr. Benanti, Dr. Leshak, and Mr. Yaziki. We discussed the impact of the budget situation on projects that we had hoped to do next year in the schools. So we're going to have to hold off on what we wanted to do for the cafeteria here in the high school, as well as the high school lockers. We're going to have to put those on the back burner. Referendum projects are in good order here. We're going to have some, hopefully, if they don't close down the schools and they can work in the building, and spring break, Riley will get their windows done during spring break, and the rest of the schools will get done over the summertime. The middle school painting is coming along well. I've heard great feedback that the interior of the school is starting to really look nice, and people are appreciating that. The refillable water stations, we're ordering more. Alex, were you by any chance able to get me the number that we've installed so far?
I did not start.
Okay. Tom, do you know
I think
what?
we're about 9 so far.
Okay, so there's 9 refillable water stations that are already done. We have more coming in, so we're looking forward to that. We had changing tables put into the elementary schools so that those that have diapers that need to be changed, it's easier for them. We're waiting on preschool cafeteria tables to come in for the elementary schools, smaller tables for the littler kids, so that's good. And got a lot of compliments on the ball fields that are all looking very, very good. So that's the B&G report. Any discussion? Okay, moving along to curriculum.
Yep, the curriculum committee met this morning at 10 a.m. The president and myself, Ms. Valeska, Mr. Cassio, Mrs. Waller, and what was discussed were 3 overnight trips, and the earliest one's not till May, so hopefully it'll go. And any of these trips are, approved, which we were approving, obviously depend on how things go with this outbreak. But it's the teen pep trip, high school, that's in May, marching band camp, which is August, and then the overnight grant trip, which is not until November next year. We also discussed the AP honors, the academically enriched criteria. It's rubrics as to what you need to do to be able to move from one area to the other, to move up to honors, move on to advanced placement. It'll be posted online on the 20th of March, so everybody will be able to see the criteria. We have NJSLA science scores that came in 5th, 8th, and 11th. They're going to be mailed home on the 20th and are now being analyzed by the administration to give us a report on them. Elementary Report Card Committee, it will be meeting in April, I think the 8th. And the two things on their agenda is to discuss the K-4 IEP sign-off on Genesis, just as the high school does now. Just want to continue it down to the lower grade. And also looking at the parameters for the lowest grade given on a marking period. And we're looking to make it similar to the 5 and 12 grade system we have now. That's it. Thank you.
Any discussion?
Yeah.
Mrs. Boyd?
When will the board receive the test scores for grades 5, 8, and 11 from the NJSLA science school science test?
Well,
Oh.
the administration, they just got them and they're going to be delivered to the parents and they have to look at it and analyze it. I'm sure as soon as that happens, Mary will get it to us.
Okay.
We didn't receive any guidance from the state as to what the
I don't know what they keep going out.
as to what the timeline is for turnaround to the board. You know, I had said to the committee today, when it came to NJSLA, English, and mathematics, we received a long-range plan for when scores would be released online, when they would be mailed to the district. Truthfully, the scores just showed up on Thursday. And then we received all of the information from the state today. So the schools are already aware that their mailing date will be next week. They already have the cover page letter that would go out. But the remaining guidance, I'm still waiting on from the state. But I would imagine we need about 2-3 weeks to look at the data, and I can turn it around in some sort of report to go home in a Friday packet next month.
Thank you.
Any other further discussion? Finance Committee, Mr. Casio?
Yes, we met yesterday, March 10th. Dr. Leshak, Mr. Bernante, Mr. Ezeki, Mr. Chapman, Mr. Bolt, and Mr. Panisi, myself. Legal bills, looked those over. We talked about the budget that was hastily adjusted last week when we got our numbers. So Dr. Leshak and Mr. Bernante worked hard to crunch the numbers to try to accommodate our $847,000 shortfall. The committee and the staff were adamant not to cut any classroom funding. So they worked some numbers, as Mr. Chapman had said, to eliminate some projects that we had anticipated to do next year. Like he had said, some lockers in a high school, and a couple other things that, and the cafeteria renovation that we're looking to do. So again, no staff will be cut, no funding in the classrooms will be cut, and we still were able to do some things that we want to get done in the budget, including fencing at Roosevelt, Franklin, Jost, some storage buildings we're going to put up to get rid of some of these containers that we have around the district, clean it up a little bit. That's really it. We talked about an insurance renewal, which we're still waiting for some quotes from our broker, and Aramark update. Aramark is closing the gap in their deficit. They're finally catching up. I heard the breakfast program they ran last week that was free. It was a big success. The kids liked it. We wanted to make sure the kids knew there was an opportunity to get breakfast in the schools, and we wanted to promote that. So that's really it.
Any discussion? Policy?
Yeah, we did not meet. We just got an alert yesterday from Strauss Esme, so I'm sure we're meeting this week. When usually they give us like 20 to look over. I know Teresa's going to get together, but I know Mr. Chapman, you asked about the social media and the discipline in social media, and also there was a committee, state committee on mental health in the schools, and it came out with recommendations. I did pass it on to Dr. Leshak to ask her to, talk it over with the administrations and the people responsible in that area to come up with recommendations, to add or delete or, amend any of our policies we currently have or add if we don't have. So we're waiting for those two.
Thank you. Discussion? Public Relations did not have a meeting. Shared Services?
looking to have a meeting in about 2 weeks.
Special Education Committee?
We met today, earlier today, with Mr. Brandon, Mr. Boyle, Mrs. Boyle, Mrs. Miller, Mrs. Wallach, and myself. Mr. Brandon gave us a good breakdown of what currently is going on in the district with the breakdown on self-contained classes, et cetera, and what the future goals are for next year with Grant most likely getting into autism and other self-contained class because of the kids moving up. We spoke about the ICR, the co-teaching push throughout the school year. One thing he did mention was preschool referrals have been increasing from early intervention, so there is a special education population coming up in ranks. CST, our membership is within compliance. We are within compliance from the DOE for the audit that occurred from the special education point of view. Overall, we are in compliance for IEPs, et cetera. There might be a few outstanding issues, but it's ranging meetings and working around parents' time frame. Still having a challenge finding long-term subs for special ed teachers. That seems to be an industry-wide challenge. He mentioned that the budget is on track, so we are not behind, which is good. We did speak about the coronavirus planning, how that will affect the special education department. And then he did mention on April 23rd, in conjunction with the ARC of New Jersey, there will be a transition information meeting for the parents. So if you have a child at that stage of life, it's a good opportunity to learn about it.
Okay, any discussion? Moving on, traffic liaison?
Nothing, sir.
CPAC liaison?
Okay, tomorrow, it's up to the CPAC parents, but they will have a meeting tomorrow night with Dr. Andrew Bustiner. Apologize if I butchered that. The topic is from frustration to focused. Good idea to come if you have a child with ADHD, learn about some techniques. March 29th is a Sunday. It's going to be the Easter Bunny Breakfast at the Senior Center. Again, raising money for CPAC so they can hand out scholarships. And one thing they asked me to mention, bringing it up now, and hold on a second, there it is. And I think she did a great job with this. Miss Jillian, she's one of our gym teachers. She did a grant and received money. It's minimizing behaviors through developmentally appropriate equipment and games. As a gym teacher, she put in for this grant. She's learned a bunch of techniques on how to better have the kids with special needs as well as typical kids to work together in gym class, using different equipments and things. And I thought she should get kudos for that. It's a good idea what she did, and grant's going to work, and it's helping our children. That's it.
Any discussion? Mr. Sesselberg?
Yeah, I just wanted to mention the breakfast is at the Elks, not the Senior Center.
My mistake. Thank you, Bill.
Senior Center's closed.
Okay, that's done.
Yep.
Any discussion? No? Legislative liaison, Mrs. Boyle?
Yes, I was in Trenton on Saturday for 6 hours. There was multiple discussions on many issues. The first discussion that took place was on the school funding formula. The enrollment numbers for the past 10 years in each district are used. South Plainfield's enrollment has declined. If there is a decline in local wealth, you receive more state aid. If there's an increase in local wealth, you receive less state aids, as South Plainfield. Also, the local fair share amounts of free and reduced numbers are taken into consideration, and it's very important for the parents to fill out those applications for the free and reduced. That goes towards state aid, towards the districts. School districts can check back to kindergarten enrollment to ensure that those who claimed free and reduced are still applying. The aid to schools, the formula aid is for the fiscal year. Preschool education aid, Commercial Valuation Stabilization Act, extraordinary special aid, school building aid, debt service aid, other aid, total aid to schools. The districts, the direct state payments for education include teachers' pension and annuity fund, post-retirement medical, debt service on pension obligation bonds, teacher social security, total direct state payments for education, school construction debt service, total school aid, additional support from the lottery enterprise, contributions for teachers' pension payments, grand total of the school aid. S2 modifies the school funding law to eliminate adjustments and for the state aid's growth limit. It allows adjustments to the tax levy growth. S2 requirements need to be utilized and incorporated. Pilot programs were discussed. I asked our council if the Board of Ed could have a seat on the table, at the table, and I was told that South Plainfield does not do pilot programs. School aid numbers were incorrect for only one district, that was Pemberton. South Plainfield is above adequacy, which charts were done by the Education Law Center. There will be minor changes made to special education regulations by the State Board of Education, including statewide assessment for students with disabilities. Those have not been incorporated or brought into law yet. Mallory's Law. Sections of the bill have been removed. School resource officers will not evaluate HIBs. Executive county superintendents will not evaluate HIBs. This bill deals with child suicide because they were bullied. Senator Panaccio sponsored the bill. Official version of the bill will be heard in the spring. Mallory's Law must be posted on all Board of Ed websites. Mallory's mom and other moms had no idea where to find this and other types of bills on local webs. Law enforcement officials must be notified if a HIB is criminal. A memorandum of agreement rights must be given, and a parent must be present if interviewed by an SRO. SRO officers, which are school resource officers, are not disciplinarians. They're not investigators. They're only there as liaisons. We receive daily updates on the coronavirus. Commissioner Rappelette has mandated home instruction must be given, and the only way for the 180-day requirement to be met is if the State Department of Health or the State Department of Education or the County Department of Health mandate schools be closed. One issue among many is supplying food for students, also special ed obligations for IEP mandates, example, therapies. Military personnel in North and South Korea and stations for militaries in town must supply areas for military students so they can receive aid. Continued discussion for extraordinary special aid will take place. The public has requested that the teachers' convention be moved, and the only way that could be moved is if the State of New Jersey Education Association condones that. This is due to the amount of days off in November, which were requested by the public, by parents. Speaker of the Senate, President Sweeney, now may agree with the billionaire's tax, but only if a percentage of that tax goes into the pension plan. The National Institute for Early Education Research stated that retention and special education preschool students have declined. There is funding for eligible districts. South Plainfield is eligible but has never applied. The preschool can be housed in a public school, a preschool, childcare, a church, or a Head Start program. Lunch bills not paid are still in discussion. There is to be no shaming of any child. All child deserve the same lunch. Funding can be applied for from the federal government, but has to show the accounting of free and reduced students. Vaccination bill allows unvaccinated children to attend private daycare and schools. A child can be exempt by a doctor's note only if it is detrimental to the child's health. No religious exemptions will be given. NJEA has testified in session numerous times that they are in favor of this bill. Revisions of Chapter 78 for school employees, health care plan, and state health care plan, co-pays must be collected. That's for only those two health benefit programs. Independent contractors with Board of Eds will be evaluated and possibly be made school district employees. This deals with the taxes. Bills being drafted that substitute teachers would be entitled to sick leave. The Ethics Commission has ruled that interviewing district personnel for employment other than the superintendent's position is against administrative functions and found that board members' participation in personnel interviews falls outside the authority of the board and its members. Only the superintendent may approve establishment of a committee to interview personnel and administrative staff, not board members, must coordinate the committee's activities. The Middlesex County School Board's Executive Board, with the input from the Superintendent's Association, is determining the progression of the Unsung Heroes Dinner for March 24th. A determination will be made and will be forthcoming with regards to the coronavirus. That's it.
Any discussion? Moving along, any public comments on any issue? Seeing none, any board member comments on NA? Mrs. What?
Okay, I would like to acknowledge Dr. Richard Tomko for hosting the community presentation on the process that his firm of Tomko and Tomko performs for the high school principal position in our school district. At the February meeting of the Board of Ed, I stated that I researched his firm, that he does ask for community input involvement, along with what the teachers, the students, the community would like to see in a high school principal. This search was investigated. This search was revisited by the superintendent. Dr. Tomko and I spoke for 20 minutes before the meeting about where we lived, about softball, that he used to live in Dunellen 9 years ago, and about Unico. I helped him with the paperwork that he wanted all attendees to fill out with questions, without names. Dr. Tomko wears multiple hats. He is a superintendent. He sits on the Ed Commission with Dr. Leshak, and he sits on the Ethics Commission. Dr. Tomko asked me also if I would like to fill out one of those forms with questions. I told him that I didn't think I should, since I sit on the Board of Ed. He was very surprised to hear that I sit on the Board of Education. He told me to take the form and ask questions. He stated that he encourages board members to attend all community meetings. It's important to hear our community comments and concerns. Dr. Tomko welcomed teachers, staff members, former staff members, and the community, along with the children that were present. He said he would entertain questions at the end of the meeting, which he did. The only thing he asked was that questions about specific personnel not be just asked. I told him that I attended a community meeting at our local diner because myself and Sharon Miller were invited as community members. People, residents and community members and surrounding community members did anxiously share their questions and concerns vocally to each other. Dr. Tomko stated that we should absolutely feel that we can attend any of these community meetings, and also stated that it was great that we were there for his presentation. I'd like to thank Dr. Tomko for taking all the questions and concerns from everybody in that meeting. He did, however, again, ask that the meeting not be placed on a phone or a recording device. But that's a public meeting, so you can't ask people not to record. Also, Read Across America is a special day for our students. They truly enjoy hearing us read to them, and I enjoy their enthusiasm. The South Plainfield Women's Leadership Team and the South Plainfield Suburban Women's Club is hosting our 9th annual Women's History Month for the high school English classes. This year, the essay will be on Clara Barton. There is first, second, and third place prizes that are given. The South Plainfield Borough Mayor Nash and the Wellness Committee submitted the application for Healthy Town designation. We received the Healthy Town to Watch designation for all our involvement in healthy programs such as our recent blood drive at the high school, initiatives for seniors all the way down to the youngest children. When positions become available for paid student interns, it's my understanding that those positions are posted on AppleTrack. How are the students informed about those positions, and where else are they posted?
They're internal postings, they are posted on AppleTrack. The information is in the guidance department, and depending on what position it is. So for example, if it's a technology position, they might discuss it in the co-op program. If it's something for broadcasting, the broadcast students are made aware in their class, but it's posted in guidance.
Okay, so they can go to the guidance department. I was also told in the main office.
It is also posted in the main office,
Okay.
but they get the information from the guidance.
Okay. Also, congratulations to the District Music Festival directors, the students, the teachers, and for another amazing performance. Congratulations to Georgianne Cochran, who is being honored by the Elks Post 2298 on March 15th as Citizen of the Year for all her involvement with the youth in our district, teaching our MD class students in the art of flower arrangements in her shop, and for hiring our high school students in her shop. On Monday, March 20th, the South Plainfield on March 20th, Friday, the Ed Foundation will host a Touchtone Blingo at the Elks. The doors open at 6:15. Tickets are $25 a person. This includes, these are for scholarships for our high school seniors. Also, on March 21st, there will be a used clothing drive and accessories for the South Plainfield High School baseball team. The truck will be located in the entranceway of the South Plainfield Middle School. All you have to do is bag your items and load them in the truck. If you can't pick up the bags, you can leave them in front of the truck. And June 6th will be the second annual 5K race with Pink Socks in conjunction with the Mayor's Wellness Committee in Spring Lake Park. Time will be determined and notice will be sent out. And thank you to the South Plainfield Borough Green Team for our school signs that say no smoking, tobacco, vaping. These signs are part of their bronze designation. Thank you.
Any other board member comments? Mr. Bowe?
Yeah, last weekend I was at a Pinewood Derby for Cub Scouts and ran across one of our last year's graduates, 2019. He just wanted me to pass along one of the things he just got told to him. Unfortunately, he missed his age joining the union, but one of the trade unions. But he's settled himself into a nice job with an oil response company. But here's the kicker. What the unions told him, and he applied to like 3 or 4 of them, is over the next 3 to 5 years, they're going to lose 20% of their workforce to retirement. So, again, I just want to give kudos to Dr. Leshak, Sam at the guidance office, and everyone that brought together these various these job fairs for these students. It's giving them an opportunity to do something other than college, get out there, earn a living, and actually meet the letter of the law, which is become a contributing member to society. And I think that's a good idea that we've been doing this, and I hope we can continue it. Thank you, Dr. Leisha.
Any other board member comments? Okay, I would just like to take a minute to let everybody know that in the event that we do have the school closings, nobody's prepared for this. We're as best prepared as we can be. Be patient, okay? Everything is not going to be perfect, okay? The teachers are very dedicated. I know that they're on board with doing everything they can do, the administration, the support staff, everybody, but there's going to be hiccups. So please don't go and splatter all over the world, you know, how terrible the Board of Education is, because, you know, the coronavirus threw us a big old curveball. So I want to thank, you know, Dr. Leshak and the teachers and the administrators and everybody who's been working so hard on this plan that they, you know, told us a week ago that we had to put together. I know it's been a lot of hard work. We've had a lot of telephone conversations over the last week and a half. We met with the borough, with Mayor Nash, Mr. Cullen, Chief Parker, John Obrick, myself and Dr. Leshak to go over the plan. So there's a lot of work going on, and let's just keep our fingers crossed that we don't have to enact it, but you know, just want to let everybody know that's the situation. So at this point, we're going to excuse ourselves to executive session to discuss attorney-client privilege, and we have any personnel?
No, we don't do this, but action.
Yeah, and action will be taken when we return. Motion?
Motion.
Second.
All in favor? Call the meeting back to order. Roll call, please.
Mr. Bowe?
Here.
Mrs. Boyle?
Yes?
Mr. Farinella?
Here.
Mrs. Miller?
Yes.
Mr. Panisi?
Yes.
Mr. Sesselberg?
Here.
Mrs. Wolak?
Here.
Mr. Cassio?
Here.
Mr. Chapman?
Here. Can I get a motion to approve the agenda?
Motion.
Second.
Roll call.
Mr. Bowe?
Yes.
Mrs. Boyle?
Yes.
Mr. Farinella?
Yes.
Mrs. Miller?
Yes.
Mr. Panisi?
Yes.
Mr. Sesselberg?
Yes.
Mrs. Wolak?
Yes.
Mr. Cassio?
Yes.
Mr. Chapman?
Yes. Motion to adjourn.
Motion.
All in favor?
Aye.